3, 2, 1.
After months and months and months of waiting, it's finally back and ready to launch. Welcome, 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 welcome again to the brand new season of the Allie-RX show, starring yours truly. It's the same familiar show, but taken to brand new heights. Technically, this is episode 9. But this is still the very first episode of the second season. So anyway, what game am I going to review for the start of the brand new season? Well, the topic at hand is wrestling. That's right, folks. Wwe 2K14 has been announced, SummerSlam is right around the corner, and WWE is getting a brand new logo. So to celebrate this occasion, I'm going to review last year's installment, Wwe 2K14 for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Last year I reviewed the installment from 2 years ago, Wwe 13, the very last wrestling game by THQ before they went bankrupt. If you haven't seen my review of Wwe 13 yet, click on the video down there. So anyway, after Wwe 13, THQ and Yuke started working on the next installment, Wwe 14. But sadly, shortly after that, THQ filed for bankruptcy and wasn't able to complete the game. However, 2K Sports acquired the rights to the WWE license, and as a result, Wwe 14 was renamed to Wwe 2K14, following the footsteps of other 2K sports games such as NBA 2K14. Many WWE fans were expecting a brand new engine that wasn't so glitchy, as well as new improvements in graphics and other stuff. So is WWE 2K14 a huge improvement, or is it just another rehash with an updated roster? Let's find out. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that 2K had very little involvement with the development of WWE 2K14. But what exactly are the changes over Wwe 13? Well, first, let's take a look at the season mode. This year's season mode is called 30 Years of WrestleMania, which focuses on some of the most memorable WrestleMania matches in WWE history. You complete each match the same way you did in Wwe 13's Attitude Era mode, by of course completing all historical objectives. And if certain objectives are completed, a cutscene will play. The cutscenes are very faithful to the matches they are originally based on. And in a few matches, cutscenes will play before the match starts. And just like in WWE 13, stock audio was also added in certain cutscenes. My favorite one has got to be the Macho Man Randy Savage promo from WrestleMania 5.
Hulkamania is dead.
Another feature in 30 Years of WrestleMania is called The Streak, where you either play as or play against The Undertaker and either defend the streak or defeat the streak. In Defend the Streak, you play against The Undertaker in a single match with the character of your choice, and you have to beat The Undertaker and end his WrestleMania streak. And yes, folks, we all know he lost to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. No need to bring that up again. Defend the Streak is a slobber knocker match? Okay, why they made a slobber knocker match to defend The Undertaker's streak is beyond me, but whatevs. While I enjoyed 30 Years of WrestleMania, it's not as fun as WWE 13's Attitude Era mode. And no, it's not just because of the Attitude Era, I have reasons. The main reason why the Attitude Era mode in WWE 13 was better, in my opinion at least, was because it had an ongoing story. You see how the Attitude Era came about and how everything progressed throughout 1997, 98, and 99. It was a true story mode. 30 Years of WrestleMania, however, is really just a collection of WrestleMania matches. Sure, it's great to see more superstars from older WWF eras, and this was the only reason why I bought WWE 2K14. But overall, I think the Attitude Era story mode played out a lot better. And since they have stars like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man, Razor Ramon, Diesel, and many more, I think it would have been better if WWE 2K14 season mode focused on a specific era or a specific time period. And honestly, this season mode is fun up until around WrestleMania 21. After that, most of the matches focus heavily on John Cena, and that gets very annoying. And speaking of annoying, you know what I absolutely hate about 30 Years of WrestleMania? The very end of the John Cena vs. The Rock match at WrestleMania 29. At this point, you both gain infinite finishers, and The Rock will reverse your finisher every single time until you lose or win, depending. Now, I usually bring this up in awful games, but this shit is just straight up bullshit! You have to be very lucky to beat him. Even if you target every single one of his limbs, he'll still counter! Again, that is just absolute bullshit! There are other issues in this game, but I'll get to them later. I just wanted to get this one off my chest. The roster, of course, is another big change. We've got legends like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Razor Ramon, Yokozuna, Ted DiBiase, Shawn Michaels, and even some Attitude Era guys are back like Stone Cold, The Rock, Kane, and Triple H circa 2000. In addition, we also see a slight update of the current roster, or what was considered current at the time of the game's release. The most notable example is the inclusion of The Shield, who are unfortunately no longer together in actual WWE programming. And along with that is some DLC characters like the Ultimate Warrior, who was originally a pre-order character, the Giant, and American Badass Undertaker. And I am so freaking happy that they included this Undertaker in this game, along with the other versions, and the 2000 attire, mind you. It's just too damn bad they couldn't get the rights to use Kid Rock's American Badass or Limp Bizkit's Rollin', but you can always use an MP3 as a replacement. All in all, even though WWE 2K14 has an inferior season mode, it definitely has a superior roster. Presentation wise, it looks much cleaner than in WWE 13, though this was probably one of the few things 2K worked on for this game. There are other changes as well, but they are mostly small changes. Gameplay wise, it's virtually the same. It's the same Predator technology grappling system used in 12 and 13, which is fine because it's easy to get used to the controls, and they're much better than the controls in, say, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 to 2011. I still find the breaking point submissions annoying though, because it's pretty much a button mashing contest. The only way to succeed in a submission is by targeting a certain body part until it becomes red, then perform the submission for that specific body part, and you won't have to deal with that button mashing crap for a very long time. Graphics are virtually the same as well, which is sad because 12, 13, and 2K14 are all a step backwards from earlier Yuke's WWE games in terms of graphics. In fact, some of the wrestlers are really funny looking. For example, look at the Ultimate Warrior. He looks like a fucking lion with his hair and everything and shit. And what's even sadder about this is that some of the Attitude Era matches on 30 Years of WrestleMania are copy and pasted from WWE 13. Hell, even the historical bonus objectives are too similar. This, combined with the recycled graphics and animation, can make direct comparisons very interesting. I mean, just look at both versions of Kane vs. Undertaker and The Rock vs. Stone Cold at WrestleMania 15. You're basically replaying the same matches again. And sadly, yes, even the terrible commentary from WWE 13 has been recycled. You're gonna hear the same repetitive shit like collar and elbow tie-up or he's putting those educated feet to good use over and over and over and over and over again. JR's commentary is also in the game, but only during season mode, just like last year's game. Don't expect them to sound very enthusiastic like in real life. But you want to hear a really bored JR doing commentary? Just play the Brock Lesnar vs. Goldberg match at WrestleMania 20 during season mode. He sounds bored as fuck.
Lesnar from the University of Minnesota, where he was an NCAA champion, made his WrestleMania debut last year at Safeco Field in Seattle, where he became the youngest WWE champion in history. But this match tonight is not about championship gold. It's about finality. Who is the man? Will it be Lesnar or will it be Goldberg?
Holy shit, that is bad. But can you really blame him though? Goldberg vs. Lesnar was one of the most boring matches in WWE history. And now he has to sit through that shit again in video game form. The create features haven't changed much either since the last game, though in this case it's not really that much of a bad thing since the create feature is one of the best features in WWE 13 and WWE wrestling games in general. All the menus seem very familiar and I was able to recreate myself in my own arena again in no time. But one thing they really need to improve on is the create a logo feature. It's such a pain in the ass to create a logo, seriously. There's a way to transfer picture files to the game, but it's very complicated and I don't want to go through that shit honestly. And trust me, it's even harder than transferring logos to Fire Pro Wrestling Returns, and that was a freaking PS2 game. Universe mode is more or less the same as it was in the previous game, but unlike last year where only the Attitude Era guys got cutscenes, any WWE superstar as well as created superstars can get a cutscene. Usually these cutscenes are very generic though. And finally, we get to the online. Does it work this time? Surprisingly, the online actually works. In WWE 13, I could barely connect to a match. But here, I actually played a few matches and the connection for the most part was smooth enough. I heard this game has cheaters though. Maybe that's why I kept losing, but I'm not judging anyone. So now we know at this point that WWE 2K14 is basically WWE 13.5, an expansion of the previous game with an updated roster and season mode. But if you've seen my review of WWE 13, you know that there are some major flaws. Now the question is, do these flaws carry over to 2K14? Sadly, for the most part, yes. But this game also has problems of its own. As I mentioned earlier, one problem that 30 Years of WrestleMania had was The Rock constantly reversing your finisher in the last match. But another issue is that sometimes hidden objectives take way too long to load. For example, in the Macho Man Randy Savage vs $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase match at WrestleMania 4, the second objective, which is a hidden objective, takes a long time to load. Here I am doing the elbow drop before the hidden objective loads, and minutes after I did the elbow drop, guess what happens? The hidden objective finally reveals itself, and it tells me to perform an elbow drop. You see how annoying that shit is? Also, remember the constant slowdowns that happen in WWE 13 when you perform any kind of grappling move, including finishers? Well, guess what? They're back! I seriously cannot fucking believe 2K did not fix this problem. I cannot. In fact, I think the slowdowns here are much worse than they were in WWE 13. I mean, just look at me playing as the Ultimate Warrior while I'm performing an abdominal stretch on Hogan. Look at how slow the game gets. Look at it. Just look. And sometimes the game slows down in the middle of a freaking pinfall. This happens a lot and it should have been fixed. I mean, come the fuck on. None of the older wrestling games from the PS1, N64, PS2, and GameCube eras had this problem. Why is this a problem with newer WWE games? I just don't understand. I don't remember if I mentioned this in my WWE 13 review, but Undertaker's old school signature can get very glitchy at times. And it's the same issue in WWE 2K14. Sometimes when you do it and he twists his opponent's arm, he would then get stuck somehow walking and then he would let go. This is very weird, and this happens a lot, and I don't know why it does. So final thoughts. If you were expecting something totally new from WWE 2K14, you were sadly mistaken. Nothing really big or new was brought to the table. Sure, it's cool to have Legends and WrestleMania matches in this game, but that's not quite enough. Besides, wasn't there another WWE game that had both Legends and WrestleMania in it? In fact, I should review that game sometime. Now, does this mean that WWE 2K14 is a bad game? No, not at all. Sure, I may have been critical at certain points, but it's far from being a terrible game. But at the same time, it's also far from being a great game. Like WWE 13 before it, 2K14 is good to average at best. Do I recommend it? Well, that depends. If you just want a fun wrestling game for this generation, this is probably your best option. There's not a whole lot of great wrestling games these days as opposed to, say, the PS2, N64, PS1, GameCube, and Dreamcast eras. Sure, you might get a non-WWE wrestling game every once in a while, but they usually end up much worse than your average WWE game. All I can say is, if you're an Attitude Era fan, get WWE 13. If you're an 80s WWF, New Generation, and Ruthless Aggression Era fan, get 2K14. So I'm going to be a bit generous, I'm going to give WWE 2K14 a silver. Even if you're disappointed with WWE 2K14, don't give up yet, there's still hope. Remember, WWE 2K15 is coming, and it's showing a ton of promise. I seriously cannot wait to see the final product. So that was my review of WWE 2K14 here on the brand new season of the Allie-RX show. Now I want your opinion. Did you enjoy this review? Did you agree with what I said? Did you disagree with what I said? But more importantly, did you enjoy the new season of the Allie-RX show? Do you like the new approach, or what? Do you think this new approach is cool? Or are you just some random hater who just hates and dislikes just because? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and if you really enjoyed this review, make sure you like, favorite, subscribe, and share with your friends so that others can enjoy. What game will I review next time? Well, that's something that you're gonna have to find out. I'm Allie-RX, and I'll see you on the other side.